Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I figured I would go back to doing post-narrated TCGO because although it is easier for me to just sit in front of the computer and narrate live games, there's gonna be a lot of shit live games, especially with the kind of decks I tend to play and with how bad I tend to play sometimes, which is why I got two decent games with a deck I've been meaning to put together. Kind of a little Valentine's Day thing today going on, because it is my Gallade Gardevoir deck I've been wanting to put together for some time. So it kind of works the way my Gardevoir Mewtwo deck worked back in the day, but I put Mew back in here to benefit from being able to versatile, which is it uses any attack on the field as long as you have enough energy for it. That in mind, you can use Gallade's Powerful Storm, or you can use Mewtwo's X-Ball. Gallade's Powerful Storm is kind of interesting. It doesn't operate quite like Mewtwo's X-Ball, but you can load up a Mewtwo in the background while you work with Gallade, which is how I've opted to play this deck. I think this game was actually against a, I would assume somebody who at the very least knows about me. I don't know if he actually happens to be a subscriber, but he finally recognizes who I am at some point in the chat. I don't want to type because I was like, I'm just gonna try to get this video out of the way as soon as possible. So shout out to this guy. I think it was A to the double Z. I can't read it on my Vegas playback right now, but I end up leading out with a Mew, which is not ideal. I have two Emolgas in this deck, so if I can lead off with one of them, the better. I've got 10 basics in this, I think. But in this situation, it's not too bad because I guess I'm going to put a DCE on Mew. Judging by his deck layout, it's actually beneficial for me to put the DCE on the Mew because he has put down Shelmets and Piplups. That in mind, he's more than likely going to be a deck and cover variant of, I guess, Empoleon. But I'm going to go for the Call for Family on this turn, and then on the next turn, once he gets into Celigor out, if he doesn't get a double colorless energy on it, I can go from there, and I can use deck and cover to get Mew out of the main spot and put the DCE back in my deck as well. But I'll explain what deck and cover does as soon as that time comes. I've had a lot of requests to do a TCG, like, how do you play kind of thing. So I may do that with Heather in the future. Like, we can show both of our sides at the same time and have it be a little more comprehensive in that aspect, I guess. Maybe we'll both record our things at the same time. I don't know how exactly that would work, but it is something I guess I could take the time to do, or maybe just have somebody else record their side and send it to me. That would work out as well. But I guess there's people that don't really want to stick their feet in the water and like test it out for themselves, because I started learning with basic red, and then it just kind of went with experience from there. Like, people refuse to seek out the information for themselves, and it's a little irritating. But I guess, I mean, if you guys want me to do it and you want me to do my take on it, I understand as well. You know, there's that going on. But I don't really feel the need to explain too much what's going on his side of the field. He did get the Celigor set up, but he does not have a double colorless, and that is very important because this now means I can copy his deck and cover. I'm going to bring it out to try to take it out, I guess, if I can get another Mew off of this. But Versatile is going to let me use anything on the field that I have enough energy for. Deck and cover only requires 2 colorless energy, but it does 50 damage, paralyzes and poisons the opponent, and you shuffle the attacker and all cards attached to it back into your deck. So if the attacker was a Zoroark or whatever, or if it was a Mew, that kind of thing, something that were to emulate deck and cover, you would shuffle it and all the energy attached to it back into your deck. Now, this is kind of counterproductive to my deck idea as a whole, which is to keep the energy on the field in order to benefit Gallade, but I don't see a Gallade out right now, so it's not that big an issue to me at all. For now, he is paralyzed right there. I don't really see him running too many switches, if anything. He may run 1 or 2 for the Empoleons just because I'm not going to call them really heavy, but 2 is not a retreat cost I would exactly want to pay. I feel kind of iffy paying 1, but this deck normally is very light is what I'm trying to say. You got the Emolga and you have the Celigor, so I'm not seeing that coming anytime soon, but I think we end up seeing one somewhere down the line, and I understand why that would be, just because of the whole hypnotoxic thing going on, you know, just to get rid of the status condition. So he opts to bring in Empoleon. This is bad because it does 110. But because of the amount of Pokemon there are on the benches, I can go ahead and go for Colress, which is you shuffle your hand into your deck, and you draw according to how many Pokemon are on the field. I pull, or how many Pokemon are on everybody's benches, I should say. So there's 5 on his, 4 on mine at the time. I Colress for a whopping 9, which is a pretty big hand size. And I get to rare candy into Gallade, so I'm good to go from here, but I still want to deck and cover out right now to force him to use up his switches if he has any left. But I'm going to go for the escape rope on this one, and I get to... Well, escape rope is like warp point if you guys remember that from the old ones, but your opponent switches out their Pokemon and then you switch out yours after you see what's going on. So I've been running it to mixed success. It kind of works because it forces out the attacker if there's like a sweeper on their side of the field. It buys you a little bit of time, but if you get an escape rope and a catcher, then it's like a beneficial switch kind of thing. So I don't know, it functions similarly to a switch and it just kind of scrambles them around too, so kind of like an N too in that aspect. But I deck and cover, I'm back in there, and we're good to go. I don't really think there's too much to talk about. So he goes for a level ball. I forget what he's gonna get. I think he tried to go for a Prinplup and he didn't get it because it was probably prized, but his Emolga ends up dying at the end of the turn to poison because he doesn't have a switch or a way to get it out of there. So with that, I'm going to take my first prize. He's going to promote in a Celigor because I'm guessing he probably... that's his free treat one, now that I think about it. I was going to say maybe because he has a DCE, but no, he's just doing that for the free treat. So I'm looking at a discard to see if there's anything I can Super Rod back. There isn't really anything, so I'm just going to go ahead and Level Ball, see what I can get with the Level Ball. I'm mainly just looking to thin out my deck. So I don't see a Kirlia to evolve that Ralts all the way on the right, or the other one for that matter. So I'm just going to get an Emolga and put it down on the bench because that's gonna A, thin out my deck, and B, make it so I draw more cards off of Colress. So it thins it out by one, and I have the potential to draw another one. So it took me a little bit, but I got the rare candy and the Gardevoir on this one. So I have Gardevoir and Gallade on the field finally, and they're sitting... Oh, well, they were sitting right next to each other. That's kind of cute. But I get to go for Powerful Storm, which does 20 times the number of energy on your side of the field. Very nice attack. We'll see that in the next game as well. But because Gardevoir does double the psychic energy in play, one counts as 2 on your side of the field. I have 2 on Gallade, which is enough to attack. I have a double colorless on Mewtwo, so that would be 20, 40, 60, 80 damage, enough to take out the Celigor and claim me my second prize. So he's going to go for the easy 2 prizes. I anticipated this happening, but there wasn't really a lot I could do about it. So he's just going to go ahead and knock this out. As long as there are 7 Pokemon on his side of the field, or 7 Pokemon in total, he can get the knockout, but there's 9, so he's got this. Fortunately, I do draw a replacement Mewtwo, and I do draw a Super Rod, so I can just go ahead and promote this Emolga. If I want to put it down, I don't remember if I do. I could put it down and just load it up in the background to power up Gallade's Powerful Storm, and I guess I just decided to Super Rod in order to thin out my deck by 1 Super Rod. I probably could have held off on that. I was just getting a little impatient. But I used the Level Ball knowing that I won't get anything off of it, just to thin out my deck a little bit more as well, to draw into some energies and stuff I'll actually need. But I go for a Powerful Storm right now, and that's going to do 80 damage. So the thing I really like about this deck, the thing I don't like about it, first off, is that it uses 2 stage 2s. The fortunate thing, the kind of silver lining and kind of not, is that they use the same evolution chain, so as long as you can get a bunch of them in play, it's great. I mean, you run less of them in your deck as a result. You only run 2 Gardevoir and 2 Gallade. I may change that number around. I'm not 100% yet. But 2 and 2 seems to work okay, because if one's prized, I can at least get the other one, and Mew can kind of work off of the Gallade if there's only one of those. If there's 2 Gardevoirs, it gives me a lot more security. If there's 2 Gallades, then Gallades can just kind of work with themselves. They don't really need the Gardevoir working if there's only one prized. If there's 2 Gardevoirs on the field, it offers me a little more security. But he also deck and cover right there. The main function to me running Escape Rope right now is Hypnotoxic, because I can just go out into Emolga if there's one on the field, retreat it, and then go back into it. This has been a very popular thing I've been seeing today with a lot of decks. But I get to catch her back in that Empoleon that has some damage on it, and Colress to get myself a lot of cards. And I think I just opt to attach to the Mewtwo on the bench. So now it technically has 4 energies attached to it thanks to Gardevoir. But I'm going to keep attacking with Gallade until Mewtwo... I'm going to keep attacking with Gallade until Gallade runs its use, because it does have a Rescue Scarf on it, and I should be good to go. But I take out that one. I think this is going to be Gallade's last stand right here, because he can knock it out with Empoleon. But I do have a Rescue Scarf on it, so I can just evolve the benched one on the next turn, because I do have a rare candy. And I can just attach... I only lose 1 Psychic Energy on that guy, so I can just put down another one, and I'm back to exactly where I started, him having 1 more prize. But that's it. So I think Empoleon's just gonna come into town, or you know what? I think he tries to go into a Celigore and he tries to draw into the DCE. I don't think it ends up working for him though. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened during this game. I had to wait a little bit during this portion, but I figured I'd ask you guys how's your Valentine's going. Oh, he catchers. We'll have to wait to talk. So he catches this thing for the easy knockout. We'll just go from here. So, what is happening? I think Psychic Energy just goes on Mewtwo. I would have knocked out the Gallade, personally. I mean, I get kind of why he did that, because it means that I won't be able to get another one up. I only run one Super Rod in this deck, but it means I get the Powerful Storm for 160, and I do still have the Mewtwo ready to go on the bench. But I get my 4th Ralts out of the prizes anyway, so I can just rare candy on the turn after the next one. But I think he goes for a Skylar right here, and gets a catcher for whatever reason. I think he's hoping to get the DCE very shortly, but he catches in my Mewtwo for whatever reason. If he does get the DCE right now, I can just Dowsing Machine for an escape rope. I see Mew EX, and he decides not to leave it down because he knows I can revenge it with Powerful Storm if I even get one more energy. And it turns out he does not get the double colorless, which I found a little strange, but I'm going to attach. Or no, it's not strange that he did that. I guess it's kind of strange that he promoted the Celigore, but at the same time it's not, because if he attacks with the Celigore and that's the only thing on the field, then he's kind of screwed. But there's a Rescue Scarf for that benched Ralts, or the Mewtwo. I think the benched Ralts in case something happens to it. And I'm just gonna have to attack on this turn with 120. So he does have the Mew on the bench. If he has a DCE and a switch, he can knock out my Mewtwo with its own X-Ball. So there would be 5 energies in play, that kind of thing. It would knock me out big time because they're actually doubled thanks to Gardevoir. So I've got 6 energies on me. He's got 2, that would be 8. That would be 160 times 2, which would be 320. But for whatever reason, he goes for the Smack. I think that might have been a little bit of a misplay right there, but it doesn't really end up mattering because it would have been down to 1 prize, and I would have just attached an extra energy. That DCE I just drew, I would have put that on Gallade. So the score could have been a little closer, but it wasn't really that big a deal. So we're just going to go ahead and jump into our next game, which is actually against Cobalion Klinklang deck. Kind of scary because Mewtwo and Mew can't attack against it, so I need to get a Gallade in play in order to do work against it if a Klinklang happens to come into play. The one thing I have noticed about this deck is most of the variants I fought, barring one, did not have energy acceleration. The one I fought that actually worked out very well had Ether and Pokedex going on for it. But right here, this is a popular thing that I did all morning, which was attached to the bench Demolga because I would draw into a Ralts, and then I would get my escape rope for whatever reason. So I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to try to go for another Ralts or actually put down that Mewtwo. And I just decide to do that, and it turns out I get my 4th Ralts in place. So full bench on turn 1 is what I'm aiming to do, so that way I can draw into fresh hands with Colress and go from there. Now I do run max Colress, obviously, just because the fuller the bench the better. It worked really well in the last matchup because I was drawing huge hands. It may work fairly well in this one if he wants to load up his bench. I think he gets it all the way full somewhere along the way. But we do see the heavy ballable Klinklang that is from Dark Explorers. It does have a 3 retreat cost, which makes it ideal in this deck because you can get the Kling, the Clang, and the Klinklang. But right there, I just go for, I evolve to Kirlia, attach an energy to Mewtwo, and I Colress for, I believe, 7 cards. And I try to level ball for my other Kirlia, but it looks like I don't have it. It is unfortunately prized. I'm running 4-2... 2 Gardevoir, 2 Gallade, so a 4-2 split 4, I guess, on that, and then I've got 3 rare candies. So, it's kind of been working out. I kind of have trouble hitting the rare candies, but the one thing that kind of confused me right here is his use of Aspertia. I guess this is to get rid of Veerbank, but in that case, I would probably run Pokemon Center or Sky Arrow Bridge. I didn't actually see anything on his side of the field that benefit from Aspertia. So he's gonna go for He attaches to Cobalion EX, and Righteous Edge does 30 damage and discards a special energy attached to one of my Pokemon. So I don't want to put down the DCEs until it's absolutely necessary. But I catch her in the Klinklang to see what I can maybe do with it. Turns out I have a Kirlia. I do not have a rare candy, but I draw a Gallade and a Gardevoir, and I have to make a decision right now what I want it to turn into. Because cards don't have genders, I can choose, and I decide Gardevoir is going to be the more important one, and I can hopefully get something else going on later. But I believe I attach to a benched Ralts in hopes that I can draw a rare candy soon, and I go for a level ball just for the hell of using it, so that way I don't shuffle it back into my deck, because everything that I need to level ball for is already back, barring late game stuff with like super rotting Ralts back in. So other than that, I got everything I needed to. Level ball is mainly just for Emolga and maybe an emergency Ralts or Kirlia. That's about it. So I decided to get out of there because I do not want my Mewtwo up against the steel types. It is absolutely dead weight at this point. He decides, no, I insist. You need to stay in and do this stuff. And he gets 2 of the, I believe those are the Noble Victory Cobalions, and they're the ones with Iron Breaker. So they do 80 damage, and I can't attack during my next turn if I stay in. This is going to come into play, the words "if I stay in," because reasons. You'll see in a bit. But I have plenty of Rescue Scarfs in this deck to, you know, not run Super Rods and stuff, and actually just keep them in play as long as possible. I decide, no, after you. I'm going to go ahead and catch her in that Klinklang again and see what he's going to opt to do. It turns out he doesn't Skyla for a switch. He Skylas for a rare candy. And it turns out he's running one of the Shift Gear ones. I tried to build this deck in real life, but I did not have any Cobalion EX, so I just kind of stopped halfway through. Decided, fuck it, that's not my thing. But he's going for the Heavy Bullet, which does 70 damage, and you flip a coin. If heads, you get 20 damage on one of my bench Pokemon. And because he's got Shift Gear, he's got the luxury of just shifting around the Steel Energy whenever needed. But once it's on one attacker, if he loses it, then he has to go through this whole thing all over again. So he's got all his eggs in the one basket up front right now. I decide I'm just going to go ahead and sacrifice that Mewtwo. There's not a damn thing I can do about it. The benefit to this is if he gets ahead in prizes, then I can just go ahead and end him into a smaller hand if he happens to have a lot of cards in his hand, but it turns out he's only got 3, so kind of whatever. Maybe it comes into play in a little bit. I don't remember. I'm going to set down an Emolga, and then I can't really... What am I doing? I think I'm calling for family and getting another Mewtwo. I feel like... yeah, you can't undo what you do here, so I end up having to set down the Mew anyway. I think my other Mewtwo might be prized, or I wasn't really paying too much attention there. But he will knock me out with the Heavy Bullet on this one. I'm just trying to stall for time because I can't get anything in play. I'm kind of looking, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm just going to promote the one with the Rescue Scarf on it, so if it dies, I can just set it back down. And praise the almighty Arceus, I draw a Colress, and I get to draw a full hand of 10. I also draw the Gallade, and now we have Gallade and Gardevoir in play. Good to go. I'm looking to see how many energy are in play, and I think Powerful Storm might be even because there's 1 on Gallade, 1 on Ralts, 2 on the other Ralts. So that totals 4 times 2 thanks to Gardevoir is 8 times 20 thanks to Powerful Storm, and reduced by another 20 thanks to Resistance is an even 140, meaning now that that Klinklang is gone, I'm able to attack his Steel Pokemon with my EXs, which at the moment are just Mew and Mewtwo. So he's looking like he's going to go for Iron Breaker right here to try to prevent me from attacking next turn. Icicle Crash Bear Tick was kind of a good thing back in the day with that, but I got my Escape Rope shenanigans going on. I can just go out into Emolga and then just go out into something else. So that's what I'm going to do. I decide to do that, and I get to catch her back in the thing that has the most energy on it, attach another double colorless to something. I just go for that Ralts just because. And I'm looking at my deck, and I'm deciding whether or not I want to Colress, because freaking everything's loaded right now. If I were to Colress, I would get the maximum benefit from it. But I decide to just go for Skyla and get something else. So I just Super Rod back the Mewtwo and the 2 Psychic Energies. So that way when I Colress next turn, I'll be in less danger of decking out. I guess, even though I just played an amount of cards that would probably draw around even, you know. So I end up knocking out that Cobalion with all the energy on it. Now, I said when I switched out earlier, because when you switch back in with it, the effect goes away. That's how the official ruling is. So if you can find like a switch pivot kind of thing, just use a manual, like use a switch card and then retreat. You can go back and forth, and then the effect's gone. You can just take it out. So he does have his other Kling Klang up again. Now, that is my next target if I want Mewtwo to attack. I'm busy. I am busy doing a narration. You cannot call me right now. I don't even know that number. But where were we? So he doesn't have anything on the field right now. No energies. He does have his Kling Klangs, and he has 3 Cobalion EXs, but he also benefits from that Colress that he just went for, so he can get a completely fresh hand. I don't think he can do anything, on top of the fact that I just rare candy into another Gallade. So we got 2 Gallades, a Gardevoir on the field. That last one, if I could get a Gardevoir going, that would be great, but that's not a main mission goal. So I think I'm dousing machining here in order to get a catcher. Kind of works like a junk arm, but I opt to bring in the Kling Klang because I need to have that out of the way for the rest of my Pokemon to do work, like I was talking about. So it would be tempting to knock out the Cobalion, but I need to use my resources somewhat wisely. And look at that, I draw a Mewtwo, I have a DCE, so for whatever reason, I get knocked out on this next turn by something. I don't know how that would happen if he had like an Ether and he got a Steel Energy on it. I'm not in any immediate danger that I know of, unless... No, just kidding, forget I said that. I forgot that the active Cobalion on his side has Energy Press, which does 20, plus 20 more for every energy attached to me. Owing to the fact that one Psychic counts as 2, he would do 20, 40, and another 20 for 60. I have 80 damage on me, I believe, from the Iron Breaker, which is going to be the even knockout. Now, it kind of sucks, but I, A, do have a Rescue Scarf, B, I'm only losing 1 energy from this, and C, have a second Gallade in play. Plus D, he no longer has the Kling Klang with Plasma Steel on it. I never really went in detail in what that does, but it prevents your Steel Pokemon from being attacked by EXs. So, with that in mind, I'm going to attach a DCE to Mewtwo, put a Rescue Scarf on that guy, and I opt to Colress now for 9 because there's less Pokemon on the field. I'm feeling like I don't need that many to make this happen. So now I have 2 Gardevoirs and a Gallade in play. Just to have the additional energy security, every Psychic energy will stay doubled for a while. So I just attach another one onto something else. I probably should have put that on Mewtwo, now that I think about it. If that's what I... Did I attach? I don't remember. I think I just go into Mew right now just to be a snarky little shit, and I'm going for the Versatile and the Powerful Storm in order to do 220 to it, because, hey, I gotta keep that Gallade on the bench, otherwise Mew can't use it. So between the two of these videos, you can kind of see how this deck works. It takes some fortunate circumstances, I would say more fortunate than most, in order to get going. If the opponent loads out their benches and you get in a Colress, that definitely helps because you don't have to discard anything. You can just shuffle into better hands. I wish there was more deck shuffling cards, like Professor Oak's New Theory from last set was such a great supporter and you didn't have to discard anything. I hate Juniper in decks like these where everything is crucial. Well, not everything, but whatever. He's going to N out, and he, I believe, is going to try to keep me stuck in the active by using Righteous Edge to discard my double colorless. But it turns out 1 Psychic Energy counts as 2. That is enough for Powerful Storm, and that is actually going to be the game because I get to go for Versatile, and I get to go for Powerful Storm to take him out with 220 damage and take the last 2 prizes. So, that was both of the TCG videos I had planned for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can definitely leave a like rating, comment, and subscribe, and do your thing. Let me know if you like live or post-narrated better. I kind of feel like I haven't been giving post-narrated a chance ever since it moved over to the client. I was like, I'll just hit it with fraps. I'll record as long as I want to. And because of that, the quality of my videos, I kind of want to say, has been going down because I just haven't really been giving a shit about what's been going on. I would record for an hour and then upload it. And today I was like, I lost like every match with this deck. like, well, not every match, but I certainly wasn't positive on my win-loss records and stuff. These were the games that actually went moderately well. Everything else was just kind of like a Darkrai matchup, or just they got set up way too quickly and I couldn't keep up because I'm trying to set up 2 stage 2 lines at the same time, so I need a little bit of time. I can't be against like a tier 1 fantastic matchup kind of thing. But I did see some really cool decks. It gave me some cool deck ideas. I also realized that when I traded away a couple of cards just between me and Heather, it made it so a couple of my decks were unfinished, so I actually forgot they even existed. But now that I've put everything back together, I got a lot of decks going on, so I'm probably going to cycle through a couple of those guys, maybe just, you know, change some supporters out, some stuff like that, maybe give them another shot. But here's this for Valentine's Day, and wow, I've rambled a lot. It's been 25 minutes, but it's been a good 25 minutes, I hope. So with that in mind, I'll see you guys later. Bye.